Hello, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Java Energy Hour here with Curious Sports. The Boston Celtics, they did it. We were rooting hard for Dallas in 7. I mean, if we're being really real, we were rooting for Dallas in 5, but it didn't happen. But if we look back on this run, how everything unfolded, what happened, it was something of just an overall disappointing playoffs. That is undisputed. Feeling what like when the final buzzer ended last night. Yeah, the Boston Celtics are champions, and you can't take that away from anyone. But there was still a feeling of really this is it. And for me personally, I was thinking, and I was almost hoping, like, is there a way to extend this series, like best out of 11, or is there maybe the winner here takes on I don't know the EuroLeague winner, something like that. It was largely disappointing, and I mean what I mean by that is it was largely disappointing in just the overall playoffs. There's no disputing this. This was a playoffs that key players were out. This a lot of the stars didn't play as good as they could have, and some people we saw shrink on the big stage. So now here we are, and we're looking at this, and this is a big issue in the NBA. The NBA is largely a sport where people just go ahead and it's a given. The players aren't going to give full effort during the regular season. There are going to be multiple nights, especially if a team gets out to an early lead, where you know what, there's not going to be as much effort given. That this team is going to mail it in on any given night. And it's something that we've come to expect. It's something that no one blinks an eye. And it's fair enough. You have 82 games or 84, depending on if you win the in-season tournament, which I'm laughing at this now, but I largely am okay with the in-season tournament, and I understand what it's trying to do. It's trying to gain, it's trying to garner, it's trying to help build in-season excitement, in-season desire to watch. Because how many times do we hear this about college basketball? Oh, I don't really pay attention until March Madness. How many times do we pay attention to, or how many times do we hear this about the NBA? I don't really watch the NBA. That's truthfully what we hear more often than not. For fans to not even tune in, and if they do, it's I don't really watch until it's the finals. And that's fair enough, I suppose. If you're not a fan, maybe if you didn't grow up with the sport, but this is definitely an issue of the NBA that the NBA has, and they need to find a way urgently to garner more excitement during the season. And we've laid out on this network and on other networks a couple of times. I say network, we're at 20 subscribers, but either way, I've made the case multiple times of how I think some tangible, easier to do proven steps that would help to facilitate this. I have. But regardless if the NBA, and I think Adam Silver largely agrees with me on this aspect. I mean, he sees the numbers, he sees the overall interest decline. And it's more about how the NBA is viewed in mainstream America. So you can look at any metrics you want. The fact is that most sports fans, So we're not necessarily just counting casuals, but most sports fans who are more than willing to tune into the NFL each and every day, who are more than willing to tune in um, to Caitlin Clark if they're willing to overlook the political aspects, to all the fans who more or less are willing to find a way to get to a television for whatever big event it is, right? The Olympics. I said March Madness earlier. Obviously, college football. Those are the big ones. But right, anything big. So a big UFC card, for example. Anyone who's willing to do that, can you get those people who are just fans of sports and competition in general? Can you get those people to tune into the NBA during the regular season more regularly? And you shouldn't say the same word so closely together, but I just did. Regular, regular. Can you accomplish this? And for the large part, the answer so far has been no. But, but it's always come with the caveat of just wait for the playoffs. Just wait for the NBA finals. It's going to be electrifying. There's going to be excitement. And this year, flatly, apart from a couple of series, overall, it's been something of a disappointment. The NBA playoffs has. And now let's talk about this series specifically. This was supposed to be more exciting than what it was. And you have to credit the Boston Celtics. It's not that they don't play fun basketball. And when they get things going, when they move the ball, I actually really like watching this Celtics team. It's when this team, just like most teams, fall too in love with iso ball, and that's just personally where I'm not a fan. And that's fine. That's fine. I I can still appreciate a good player. I can still appreciate a good team. But what I'm just saying, too often I watch this team and it's frustrating because you know how good they can be. You know that this is a team that does have potential and they look so good when they are moving the ball around, when everyone's getting love, when everyone's getting touches. We all see this, which is why it makes it frustrating at times when certain players, I mean, mainly Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, when they fall too in love with iso ball. That's what makes it a little frustrating. I'm not going to lie. Because you see when the ball is zipping around, this team is unstoppable. And that's what we saw, for example, in quarter one, game one of this NBA Finals. That is what we saw in quarter three of game 3 of the NBA Finals. So I say all that to say part of why the NBA Finals specifically now wasn't as exciting is simply because the Celtics controlled critical parts of each individual game and built a large enough lead where the Dallas Mavericks were forced to play catch up. And so because of this, it's not as exciting as two teams where it comes down to the wire, obviously. But then at the same time, it's also natural, particularly when Boston was able to build large leads. You naturally take your foot off the gas. You don't have to take as many risks. You don't have to gamble as much. And I will credit Boston on this as well. They did a really good job of not letting their foot off the gas pedal as a lot of teams have. But right, the most exciting part was when the Mavs nearly had that 20-point comeback. That was probably the most and then who was it? I think it was Jaylen Brown down the stretch. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe it was Jaylen Brown down the stretch, who then goes on to seal the deal for Boston in Game 3. It was right. Game 4, in which Dallas won, that was also a blowout, and that had a regular season feel to it. So we talk all year long about playoff atmosphere, playoff feel, playoff intensity, and some of the chippiness was there. Some of the swallowing the whistle was there, fine, but largely it was something of an uneventful NBA playoffs. The games were determined early, and there wasn't the need for that late push. And that's I think largely why this NBA Finals in particular, some were saying it's the worst of all time, or some were comparing it to other not as exciting NBA Finals. And I think that's fair. I think that's more than fair. But you have to give credit where credit's due again. This roster, this team got the job done. And you have to emphasize this roster. And mainly because of the contributions of Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday. Now, Jason Tatum did offer some nice stats. And Jason Tatum, I would say, had a better defensive series than an offensive series. Because a lot of times when he shined, particularly last night in Game 5, a lot of time where Jason Tatum shined was in moments where the game was largely out of reach and Boston was already in control. And to be frank, I thought that he was going to win the NBA Finals MVP because of that fourth quarter, and that would not have been correct. Jaylen Brown 100% deserved the NBA Finals MVP, and I would have been okay if it had been Drew Holiday. I really would have, but that's not how things unfolded, and that's fine. Jaylen Brown was a good and worthy choice as well. So honestly, that kind of worked out. But now, moving forward, what do we see from this team? What should we hope from this team? And why are they not a dynasty? And why is any and all dynasty talk completely premature? This team is not a dynasty because in order to have a dynasty, and usually in order to win a championship, you need to have your best player and or your best duo, your best tandem, be the clear-cut leaders, or at least be the go-getters. So Kawhi Leonard, not a vocal leader, but everyone knows who would make the plays down the stretch. Everyone knew who the offense would flow through. And everyone knew undoubtedly who the best basketball player was on that Toronto Raptors team. And again, even though Kawhi Leonard wasn't the leaders on that Spurs championship, he was undoubtedly the best player. And so I say all that to say all of the decision making down the stretch of Jason Tatum has to still worry you if you're a Boston Celtics fan. And then for Jaylen Brown, you see that he can rise to the occasion, rise to the moment. But the ceiling's limited in terms of what you expect from a superstar. And that's fine right? Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum don't have to be superstars. They are now NBA champions and they are good players. But with the superstar like Kawhi Leonard, like Tim Duncan, like Kobe, like Shaq, like Dwayne Wade, they embrace the moment. That's when they play their best. And you know who the on-court leader is through their play. Kawhi Leonard, Giannis Antetokounmpo. On this team, you don't know. I mean, shoot, there were parts of the Pacers series where you could have had an argument that Al Horford was the most impactful player for the fits he was giving the Pacers front court. Um, Now I'm not saying that Derek White was the best player, would have been deserving of the MVP discussion, but he too had a lot of impact in key and critical moments. And at times he was definitely outperforming both Tatum and Brown. And again, this isn't about having an off shooting night. This is about the overall belief and the overall knowledge of this. This is the guy who we are going with. He's going to get us a bucket. And so again, this is where you have to credit Joe Mazzulla and Brad Stevens. I think they know that Tatum and Brown aren't the alphas of old, like what we see, the old guard. And so is it possible that this is the new way to win a championship? Draft and develop two guys once they're in their prime after a couple playoff runs. You then add a missing piece or two, a Holiday or Porzingis, who know what will be expected of them at any night, who can take over on any given night, but are also willing to play a lesser role and concede. That's possible. That's the new way of doing things. I find it unlikely, though. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, did he have help from Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday? By the way, first player to win a championship in his first season after needing to have played 30 plus minutes during the playoffs, but first player to do so. Okay. So that is something of a feat. But either way, you get the point. There was no question who the leader was, and there was no question of who the finals MVP was. It was very clearly Giannis Antetokounmpo. And now that's not to say that the finals MVP is the be all end all, because Andre Iguodala won it with the Warriors during one of those rings. And the Warriors are again a case of draft develop, and you then add the missing piece. But right, one of those rings, it was clearly Kevin Durant. A couple times it was clearly Steph Curry. And even when Andre Iguodala won the Finals MVP, I mean, there was little debate or discussion of who the best player on that actual team was. So Andre Iguodala absolutely did what was needed for the Warriors against that Cavs team. 100%. But I mean, come on. It was still Steph Curry's team. Steph Curry is the player who everything actually went through. Iguodala won that MVP because of what he did on LeBron, defensively on LeBron James. And and I don't remember the stat line off the top of my head, but just look at the stat line of LeBron James. It was 30 plus that he averaged, he being LeBron James. So he made things difficult for LeBron James in key and critical moments, and so that's partly why he won the Finals MVP. And he had a couple of nice offensive explosions for Iguodala. But I mean, come on. Steph Curry was the best player on that team, and that's who the unquestioned leader was. And that's what's missing on this Boston Celtics team. Is it Drew Holiday? Possibly. Is it Jaylen Brown? More likely than not, yes. Is it Jason Tatum? That's for sure no. As someone who wrongfully I'll concede this. Who wrongfully had the Dallas Mavericks winning this series, and who wrongfully had them at plus whatever they were on any given night. I was thrilled to death when Jason Tatum had the ball late. It made me happy. I said, "Oh, good, my cover still has a chance. My covering still has a chance." And we all saw we all heard the clip from Doris Burke where she shared what Jason Tatum said in regards to make sure you, or her reaction in regards to the clip of Jason Tatum saying, "Hey, don't take any contested fadeaways from 3." And we saw his really bad decision making down the stretch. Now, again, credit. I think he had a decent defensive series, but this is an offensive league. Luka Doncic even half hobbled. Still got his, and I think we're going to hear very shortly whatever injury he was going through, because he not an excuse, but I do think we'll hear about that. But either way, it still is true that Jason Tatum can't be your best player on a championship winning team. And you say, yeah, but they just won. He wasn't the best player on this team. And unfortunately, he is the face of this team and the franchise player. And let's be honest. Again, we're not taking credit away from the ring, but you have to be honest that the East was very much weekend. Injury luck. Every domino fell in favor of the Celtics, even up to, I submit to you, through the finals. So not taking anything away, but that's how I view things. Oh my gosh, Jordan, so sorry. Jordan, so sorry. Let's have you on here. My apologies. I was too busy ranting about nothing. Jordan, we will have you on shortly. Sorry, Jordan. You know what? You get a free pass to call me whatever you want and to make fun of me over my pick. All right, come on, Jordan. Come on in and come on down. But that's how I view this team. That's how I view this roster. Not that I'm not impressed with the win, because they were the most complete team. This you cannot dispute. They were the most complete team this year. But to say dynasty, that's not a step too far. That's just ludicrousy. And I'm not one who will take away. Oh, hey, Jordan. Oh, I don't know why I have AFC South on here. I'll be totally honest with you. Let's just have this on. I'm not one to take away a ring or to discredit a ring. This is a legit ring. This is a legit title. But moving into next year, if you have the Celtics as a favorite, I think that's a little premature. And I am for sure, I'm calling it now. This will not be a dynasty. That I can promise you. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah. Yesterday's win was literally unimpressive. Like I just saw, like when I saw like the score in the first half, I was like, "Oh, this is over. I'm just gonna relax, watch some baseball game, celebrate my birthday last night, and yeah, it was like one of the most anticlimactic finals I've seen. Like it wasn't as terrible as 2018 because that finals was legitimately just boring. But this one, it was just anticlimactic. But yeah.
Well, Jordan, how about all the people who are now, I don't think anyone's screaming, but how about all the people declaring this to be the next big dynasty?
Now, a lot of dominoes need to fall to the Celtics. Like you just said it beforehand. Like they literally faced a lot of injured stars. Like it's not gonna be a dynasty. I'm 100% confident because like everything need to be be in their favor, and the league does change. Like sports leagues always adapt to your weaknesses and your strengths.
Yep.
And if Tatum shoots 7 for 16, wait, what was the final stat line for Tatum? Because I saw like 7 for 16, and I was like, that ain't gonna win you anything. because Drew Holiday and Jaylen Brown were leading the team.
Let me look. Oh, Jordan, are you going to be on any of the shows later this afternoon? Or are you busy?
Okay. I have a date at 12, so I'll probably leave this one early, but I'll probably make it to the later shows.
Oh
And,
yeah, we're about to wrap up here, honestly. But you think you'll be able to
and
make both of the shows you said?
4 p.m. 4 p.m. Yes. 6 p.m. Yeah, definitely.
I don't know what time Erox is at. I think his is at 5, but we will be on at
Yeah.
4. But either way, here's your stat
Yeah.
line that you asked for. Jason Tatum finished 11 of 24. Not terrible from the
Yeah.
field, but here's
Yeah.
the killer. Here's the killer. He finished 1 of 7 from 3.
That's funny. That's pretty funny.
And I've been screaming from the mountaintops. He is such a good player. He's so physically gifted. I hate when he takes a 3, and I hate it even more when he takes a contested fadeaway 3. So that I have issue with the 1 of 7. I love that he got 31.
How tall is he? Because I think he's 6'2", right? 6'2".
Tatum?
Yes, his height.
No, I think he's 6'8", my guy.
You're 6'8", that you're taking threes. Go bull rush him. Come on, man. Jesus Christ. And also, Matt Kellerman is crying. He felt phantom pain when he made fun of Andre Iguodala, because he'll always take Andre Iguodala.
Oh yeah, I didn't see the comments because I was obviously off screen. If I'm alone, I don't like just looking at myself, so I opened up a different tab of just nothing. So I didn't see your comments, and then I just see "let me in." It's like my bad.
Let me in. But yeah, that last final was just very boring. It wasn't terrible as 2018, but it was very like anticlimactic. Like it's just like I want to say it's like like the Game of Thrones, like season 8 ending, but it's more of like a Seinfeld's ending, where people were like, oh, that was lame.
Jordan.
Like this NBA season, it had its moments, but the playoffs, it was just a dud. But,
yeah, off the top of your head, which series impressed you the most? I know my answer, but off the top of your head, which series gave you the most excitement?
Nick Sixers. That legit. It was a legitimate game throughout all 6 games, and they were very highly contested and close. It was that and Timberwolves and the Nuggets. Those were legitimate.
Yeah, those felt like playoff environments, and I would put in third. I would throw in Pacers Knicks. Wait, what?
I'm still bitter.
Oh, sorry, Jordan.
I'm still bitter that that flyover state won.
Shout out to Nebraska.
Nebraska, y'all. And I think I saw, and then you were talking about the AFC South. That division is going to be a legitimate war. Like, you have teams legitimately trying to improve their entire franchises. Especially the Titans and Colts. Like, the Colts drafted one of the best defensive players in Lato. That dude's gonna be a beast in that system, and it's gonna be a legit war. And I think only one of those teams is gonna win the division, because, well, I don't think there's like it's gonna be like it's gonna be like the AFC North last year, where a lot of teams are gonna finish over 500, or at least have like 8 to 9 wins, and at least one or two of them are gonna make it to the playoffs because it's gonna be self cannibalism.
No, I will be. Full disclosure. Full disclosure. Oh my god. Talking. Did you know we're on a podcast right now? We are live on the YouTube, Jordan. We are live on the YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Hello, YouTube.
Hello, YouTube. How are you? No. So, Jordan, that was my topic from my last show, and I'll admit I didn't even know. I told you I go to a different tab. I hate looking at myself on a pillow. So that was. But I'm glad you're chiming in on this AFC South. We're just a rinky dink show today, Jordan, and that's okay.
Exactly.
That's what we are every day.
Rinky dinking, y'all.
So, who do you have winning the AFC South since we're talking about it?
I have the Colt. Because it's so hard to decide because whether you believe Houston's going to regress or not. But I do have the Colt. I do have the Colt sneaking in and winning the division because like there's a lot of variables in that division alone.
Yes.
Like a lot of variables, and so much could happen in the next couple of months, in which you're like, okay, especially during the season, in which like you feel like, oh wow, this team's gonna win, and then all of a sudden they collapse.
I will say this is a good division. I think.
Yeah.
I think it'll be the most competitive division. We'll see if there are two teams that make the playoffs from here, but I think it will be a competitive division for sure.
Yeah.
Jordan, we unfortunately have to get out of here. Good luck with whatever you're doing over there in the Bronx. Any final words to Siddharth? He's claiming ownership of the victory of calling the Boston Celtics, but I maintain, and I'll grant you, I didn't hear this from his mouth. I'm just assuming. I maintain that this is a draw because I'm just assuming that he took the over in all these games, and that he took an egregious over, and that it didn't hit. So I'm saying it was a draw. Sure, he nailed the Celtics winning, but it didn't go over. At least his alternative over. So that's what I'm saying. So any final words?
He was Siddharth, you're a bandwagoner. You're bandwagoner and you picked the over on everything, but we love you.
Yeah, I'm assuming he had the over 250 on each game. That's what I'm assuming.
No, he saw that he didn't hit, and he's like, oh no.
All right, Jordan. See you later, my guy.
All right, see you, man.